Hey there, y'all. This is Lauren from Mama's Learning Corner, and I wanted to share a tip that I'm just so tickled I discovered it. I wanted to share a tip about how we do all about spelling here in our homeschool. I have four children. This is our 6th year of homeschooling. I have four children, 5th grade, 3rd grade, 1st grade, and really a K4. She's not quite ready to read, not quite ready for kindergarten yet, but still, it's kind of out of the preschool phase. So, still lots of good early learning for her. But with four children, I have a hard time fitting in every single thing that we need to do during a day. It's a big struggle for me. And in fact, I'm still, as you go into each homeschool year, what the day-to-day life of homeschooling, what that looks like, is different each year. So I'm still trying to get that figured out for this year in the ages and stages of my children. Since the very beginning of our homeschool, we have used All About Spelling. I love the approach for All About Spelling. It's just in little bite-sized chunks with lots of review as needed or not if your children don't need that and are more natural spellers. The rules are very clear. I love the way the teacher information is presented. I love the hands-on approach of the letter tiles. It just has so many good aspects that I know and love. But my problem with All About Spelling, I ran into this problem in that it's pretty teacher intensive, which is one thing that I really like about it. But it also presents a challenge to me as a mom of four. Four little learners who just love to learn, but there's only one of me. So I've really had to pray and ponder over different aspects of our homeschool this year. And spelling was one of the big challenges that I had. So my oldest child is 5th grade, and honestly, we kind of moved away from spelling. We didn't do much spelling at all last year. My son is a very natural speller. It comes easily to him. However, I did him a disservice by dropping spelling quite so early. So despite him being in 5th grade, we're going to go back and pick up level 4 with him, and he is breezing through it because, it's pretty easy concepts for him. But I want to make sure those concepts are solidified for him, though. Just because he's a natural speller doesn't mean that he doesn't need to know those spelling rules. So with my 5th grader, I was just really in a dilemma about what to do, because spelling 3 times a week with him, I just couldn't quite figure out how to put that in my schedule. And then I just had this, what I considered to be a brilliant idea. So like I said, we are using level 4 of spelling this year, All About Spelling. And we're doing it 3 days a week. And so the first day, so I call them day 1, day 2, day 3. It doesn't always happen on the 3 days of the week that I specify, Monday, Tuesday, Friday. Just as long as we get those 3 days in, I'm happy. So I call them day, when I make my plan, I'll say this on day 1, this on day 2, this on day 3. So on day 1 of our spelling week, it's all hands on him and myself. The letter tiles, teaching the new concepts, reviewing the cards that we need to review. I would say total 15 to 20 minutes or so. 15 to 20 minutes of spelling help with him and myself. And so my problem became, I could not find the time to call out these words to him and dictate the sentences to him. I needed a way to put that on autopilot. So I had the bright idea to call out his spelling words and dictate those sentences on my phone. So I used I have an iPhone, and I used the voice memo app that's already on my iPhone. I didn't have to download anything. I record the 10 words and the 3 or 4 sentences that I'm going to dictate to him on my phone. Then since I don't let my children have my phone, to play with. It's just not something that we do in our house. My phone is not a toy. So that wasn't really an option to give him my phone. However, you can take that voice memo and I email it to him. And then the question becomes, well, why does he have an email address? Because he's 10. but he only emails within our family, and we have to approve every email that he sends. So he's on lockdown with the email. So I feel very comfortable emailing this to him. So when he has spelling on his little to-do list that I give him every single day, if it's day 2 and 3, he just goes to his email and opens them up. I send each day in a different email. So he has step 2, day 1, step 2, day 3. So he goes to the day that he's on. He puts on his headphones. He listens to my voice call out those words or sentences, and then he listens to the dictation and writes them on his paper. I just love this. It has totally taken that pressure off of me. Gosh, we aren't getting to spelling again. But it has taken that pressure off of me, and then I can just hand it to him as a more independent activity. Because I always felt guilty that I just couldn't quite make time for it. But this way we can make time for it. I can certainly find 15 or 20 minutes at the beginning of the week to do what I would consider to be day 1 of his spelling. And then he does the rest of day 1 himself. He goes to open up his email, gets the day 1 dictation, writes it on his paper, files it in his notebook. And then he does day 2 and day 3 completely independent of me. Now, I certainly check his work to make sure that, if he has any errors to correct. But this has worked really, really well for us. So would I do this with other children? Not necessarily. My 3rd grader is definitely not a natural speller. She struggles more to remember the rules. She just is not a natural speller. So she needs my one-on-one attention with every spelling lesson that we do. Lots of times we do that 10 to 15 minutes of hands-on learning using the letter tiles on our whiteboard, and if there's new teaching or review, we do whatever is needed in terms of hands-on for that day together. And sometimes I email her dictation to her brother's email account, and I'll let her sit and listen to that just because she thinks it's neat. And, it's just a change of pace. So, but a majority of times I call those words out to her, and I call out the sentences to her. Especially with her in the 3rd grade, we go ahead and make corrections as we go along. So I really like to be by her side as we do the dictation portion and spelling. So we can go ahead and make those corrections while they're fresh in her mind. And we can talk about the rule that we need to apply. And so I can't turn this type of independence over to her yet in 3rd grade. We'll wait and see what 4th and 5th grade hold. But she's definitely not at a stage where I can give this to her independently. Okay, so if you're an All About Spelling fan and you'd love to use it, but you can't quite figure out how to fit it all in during the day. I mean, we all have to make choices about what we're going to fit in during our homeschool days, right? And spelling is definitely on my priority list, but I just couldn't figure out how to make it a bigger priority than what I was before. So this has worked really well for us. If you have tips on using All About Spelling or your current spelling curriculum, I'd love to hear them, so make sure you leave them in the comments. I always think it's fascinating to see how other families do things, whether spelling or, just how you run your day. I think that when you can see how other families do things in their homeschool lives, it helps you refine what you do yourself. So make sure to describe what you do during your homeschool day, spelling specifically, but I'd love to hear anything else you'd like to add. Okay, come visit me at Mama's Learning Corner. It's MAMAS, learningcorner.com. I'd love to see you there. Lots of worksheets and printables for the preschool to 3rd-ish grade range. Some homeschooling tips. Like, we're only in our 6th year of homeschooling, so I don't have a whole ton of tips. But I always like to share what I do have. So I'd love to see you there.